Thank you all for coming here. My name is Nicole. I'm on the events team here at Books Are Magic. We're so excited to have Carlyn, Greenwald, Christina, Powers, and Joelle, Wellington with us tonight to celebrate queer YA stories on our first Pride panel this June. But before we get started, I wanted to point out some logistics and how the event's going to go tonight. So we'll be doing a hand-raised Q&A at the end of the discussion, so make sure you have your questions ready, and then we'll just call on you at that time. After the talk tonight, everyone's going to be signing their books and personalizing them. I'm going to have all the authors sit up here, so if you wanted to buy books, they're up at the front. You just bring them back here, and then we'll have them get signed for you. If you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we'd love to encourage you to buy a copy of all these lovely authors' books online using the link in the live stream description. Carlyn Greenwald writes romantic and thrilling page-turners for teens and adults, including Murderland, which we have here tonight for you to purchase at the front. Film school graduate and former Hollywood lackey, she now works in publishing. She resides in Los Angeles, mourning ArcLight Cinemas and soaking in the sun for dogs. Christina Lee is the award-winning author of several children's and young adult books, including True Love and Other Impossible Odds, and most recently, the adult fiction Manor of Dreams, which we have both of them at the front as well. She graduated from Stanford University with degrees in economics and public policy. She grew up in the Midwest and California, but now resides in New York. Paige Powers is the New York Times, USA Today, and #1 indie bestselling author of 2 novels, including And They Were Roommates, also available for purchase. He lives in Brooklyn with his partner. Joelle Wellington grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where her childhood was spent wandering the main branches of the Brooklyn Public Library. She's the author of 3 books, including The Blonde Dies First, which we also have at the front. So without any further delay, please join me in welcoming all of our panelists.
Wait, we need to add something. Paige is a New York Times bestselling author as well.
This is a new thing. I've done for a while.
It happened 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We need to let everybody know.
Yeah, so I feel like all of us here, we write teen books and adult books.
I guess.
Or we're trying to.
We're attempting.
And I think they're all queer in some way. So I'm going to ask a really annoying question first and a little difficult perhaps. How do you feel about this panel in particular? Being lumped into, like Pride Month, our books usually come out during this time. Is it like a double-edged sword? Sorry.
No, good question. My books never come out during Pride Month. It's almost like my team hates me. It always comes out the end of July on the same day as Karen McManus. So it's always like tough. I'm like, ugh, she's here again. Lovely lady. But this time we're pushing it out, and we're still not in Pride Month.
Wow.
We're in November, so
I'm probably going to be November too.
I mean, it's better than the same day as Karen McManus and Jennifer Lynn Barnes.
Oh
And
my
both of
god.
them. Every time, and then they do their events together, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't even want to be at my event. I want to be at their event. And so every time.
I'm so sorry. F's in the chat.
I mean, I've had both. I've had books come out during Pride Month and before, and honestly, I kind of prefer before, because then you get like the new release boost and Pride, so it's like an extra few weeks. But also, we'll just, it's also kind of fun to celebrate it like in the time. Yeah, I got a May, so it was still kind of new.
That's a good time.
Yeah.
May's a good one.
May's a good one. I'm 3 for 3 on books coming out in May because my publisher's like, I know what you are.
Yeah.
It's AAPI month and then it's Pride month and they're queer and Asian, so it's like it works.
Nothing being like queer Asian.
It's coming out. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of the outlier. Well, you write adult romance,
Yes.
but I think all 3 of you do thriller and horror, and I would never touch that with a 10-foot pole. And I think right now queer horror is huge, and it's kind of taking the space that romantasy was taking up for a while. Why do you think queer horror and thrillers are doing so well? Because I don't know, and I'd love to see.
I
mean, my theory has always been that, like, in response to the original queer fiction was, like, just tragic porn, and so then the response to the exact opposite is therefore rom-com, and then you have to swing it back again. But in this time, it's more fun. Because thriller and horror, you don't have to talk about queer trauma, it can just be trauma being murdered. Which is fun.
Yeah.
That's a good point though, because Murderland, the book that you just released, it does remind me of Five Nights at Freddy's in a good way.
Yeah, good.
Which I don't know if we would have been allowed to do fully the last time that queer horror was, it was very tragic based.
Yeah.
I also think that there's a lot of creativity in horror and thriller in a way that's like, I think you're able to explore tropes in a way that like allows for a lot of really great queer perspectives in a way that I feel like I haven't been able to find in like other genres as much. And so I think because horror and thriller is like you're already diverging from the norm, like weird stuff is happening. I find it, easier for me to slot in like my perspectives that like are like in this heteronormative world, like divergent from,
Diversion by Veronica Roth.
Sorry.
I always think of horror like as a genre, right? It is something that is meant to reflect the fears of a given society at any time, and I think that those fears usually were shaped by white heteronormative, like heterosexual men, and it was like a fear that was spread throughout society. And now we've stepped into this space where queer authors and queer creators are now exercising that right and power to reflect their own personal fears, and that means that they are not the thing that we are not what is being feared. We are allowed to reflect that back almost.
Yeah. So, did you guys all want to pursue, like when you wanted to be an author and you didn't know anything about how to do this, was horror and thrillers your goal, or did that change over time?
No, I came up during Twilight, so I wanted to do what everyone wanted to do, which was write YA fantasy. And then I was not good at it. So,
What do you mean?
please!
No, I also started YA fantasy. That's really interesting.
No.
Like it was of the moment.
Yeah, it's whatever you saw was big in 2016, your most formative years, that's what I was like, that's what I gotta do, I guess. Not that I particularly, I don't even know if I really wanted to, but I literally didn't think that there was anything else. It was you either write Hush Hush, or you write John Green. And I wasn't sensitive enough to write John Green. I wasn't that in touch with my emotions like that. So I was trying to write Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. Deep cut.
Well, so I was as a 13-year-old writing serial killer books, upsetting my parents probably very deeply. And I tried to do YA thriller for years, and the market didn't want it I think I started querying 2016, and then books started dying on sub 2018, 2020. And so I just randomly sold a rom-com. It was just kind of a whim thing that I wrote, and then that kind of became the thing for a while, and then we came back around to it, me and my agent, and I was like, can I do the YA thriller, can I do the thriller again? And that's what I always wanted to do. So we finally got back around to it, but it took a little side
You're
quest.
so ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, 2008, we were.
Yeah, you were locked in early.
I started out in YA fantasy because, like Joelle said, that was what everyone and anyone did. But then I actually wrote contemporary. My first couple books are contemporary, and then this is my first thriller horror. And honestly, I don't think I woke up one day and I was like, this is the genre I want to write in. It just was the story that came to me, and I was like, okay, well, this slots into this genre, so we're writing this.
I find it interesting that we've all kind of jumped around genres, and something my agent says very kindly is that as a queer person you are going to need to shift more often potentially. I guess I'll let you touch on that because I see some nods. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
I just because I think people are gonna get tired. They always get tired when you're queer and loud. So, but I've kind of reframed it, in my mind in that I'm like, okay, so there are some authors who their entire brand is their genre, and that's fine, but I'm like, I'm the brand, so you gotta just walk with me. Like, my name is gonna always be on the covers, so take that journey with me. Like, that's how we're gonna have to do this.
That's so iconic, actually.
Like, yeah, because I'm like, they're always gonna be like, well, I'm tired of that person. So you just gotta center yourself, kind of, which is like, I think some people would be like, why are you doing that? But I'm like, no, this is a really competitive industry. Like, you gotta kind of like market yourself in a way, which I guess is cynical, but like, I don't know.
I'm just trying to get a book sold. Like, I'm trying to get a check and a job in this economy. So I think, my agent has been really great at enabling me to write things, and we just like, they hope it'll sell. We hope it'll hit the right moment in the industry. We hope there's interest in it. But yeah, as a flip side, I also have not thought a lot about my branding and like have not written consistently in genre.
I kind of like where I want to be, so I'm gonna try to stick to it as long as they'll let me. But you gotta be on it. You gotta be able to be nimble, switch genres if you need to. But we'll see. Hoping to stay here.
Sorry to kill the vibe for you. You're so gonna do this. I think a lot do. It's just I think about Karen McManus, and that's all she's ever had to do because it's. I don't know how to put it into words because I'm trying to explain why my agent thinks this and why we all think that queer people need to shift genre to keep people entertained, like we're dancing like monkeys.
Yep.
I think it's just kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does it?
No, this is I'm like, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't settle that was kind of not the expectation for everyone.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
I think it pushes us, and I think that there's a flip side in that I'm now writing in things that I would have never otherwise thought to do, and I'm pushed all the time, which maybe other authors don't have to do that, but maybe they're missing out.
I guess it also depends on what the pivot is. Like, is it just doing different themes within the same genre? Is it changing to adult versus YA? Like, sometimes there's ways to play with it where you're still doing something you like, but a little bit differently.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Not us being expected to reinvent the wheel every time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. I guess that's it. Reinvent the wheel. That was the word I was looking for. Okay, so I want to totally shift gears to, I'm sure there's a lot of like writers, aspiring writers, or just readers in general who would love to know behind the scenes of stuff. So I'm curious if there's like a moment in your career so far. Not even, I know this is a queer panel, but like just in general, what has been like the funniest moment of your career, or even like a horror story of your career?
So with my first book, I went on tour in UK, and I went on tour with Karen McManus. And I remember this. I had just finished my second book, The Blonde Eyes First. And in the UK they like drink a lot, right? So, and specifically UK publishing, they're like always putting a drink in your hand. They're like, do you want to go smoke a cigarette? And I'm like, chill. We don't do that here. We don't smoke like that. But I remember I had definitely drank too much, and I was coming back from a publishing party, and I opened my email, and I see that my editor has emailed me the cover for my second book. I open it, and I burst into tears. It was horrific. It was giving Ronald McDonald. Like, I was so upset. And because I'm drunk, I can't regulate my emotions. So I call my mother, and it's 3 a.m. And she's like, "Are you dying?" I'm like, "No, it's ugly." So I didn't give her any context. Next day I texted her, I was like, "So sorry. My cover's bad." But on the flip side, I'm on a train with Karen McManus, and she helps me write the kindest but firmest email that was to try again. She was so good, but she was like, "No, it's okay. I've also had an ugly cover." And I was like, "Great. Help me word this." And she was like, "Yeah, you just have to be really firm and affirming at the same time." I was like, "Great." And she helped me draft it. And I did get a beautiful cover out of that.
You did.
So sometimes you don't have to be Ronald McDonald.
You should never have to be Ronald.
No, never.
Like, period.
Yeah.
That's a really good story.
Now you're gonna be able to follow that up. We can go to the next one.
Oh, great. Well, so I try not to read my Goodreads reviews, but I do sometimes. And at least for my first 3 novels, there's been this, like, person named Alaska. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was the other guy.
Oh, no.
What's
I
his
know
name?
who you're talking
John? What's that?
Yeah.
The dude who
Oh.
finds every queer
Oh,
book and is like,
Charles.
oh,
No,
Charles! I
Charles
thought
is
you were talking about
not-
Charles.
I have evaded Charles.
Okay.
Charles is an anonymous Goodreads user who 1 stars every queer book.
Like, immediately, once the book gets announced, like, it has 1
Charles
star.
is there, and he's
Charles
like,
is
I hate
there.
gay people. Like,
But Alaska, on the other hand, their profile picture is like Kermit with a pride flag.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and like they've read every single one of my books, which doesn't make sense because I've written children's books, I've written YA, like it just, I'm like, are you following me through all these stages of my career? But like, just always leave the loveliest comments. And I'm like, I write for this Alaska person that I don't know on Goodreads, you know? Like, that's my one loyal, nobody's got me.
I think that user does like so many books.
I love that, yeah.
I don't check my Goodreads at all anymore, but I remember for my debut, people were still nice to me, and I remember that was the comment at the top was
Yeah.
Alaska.
Yeah.
There for us, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alaska.
I feel like I only have like a stupid story.
That's
No.
exactly what we want.
Yeah. I was my team at dinner. So at my launch event, like this was like a month ago that this happened, and it's LA, so I'm like 20 minutes late to my own event, and maybe like an hour before I drank this like really strong coffee. So I like get into this event like freaked, like you know, fully on adrenaline, and I like do the event, and I'm, you know, where you like just start thinking about overthinking what you said, and I was like so convinced that one of my friends who was in the audience, I had insulted them somehow. So I'm like sitting at a bar afterwards, and I'm like, I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I tell them that I didn't mean to say anything insulting? And I just sent a text, like, it didn't even acknowledge it. It was just being like, hey, you know, so glad you came, like, to sort of test the waters of how they were feeling. And then the next day I get a text being like, I wasn't there. I can't see distance, so I just thought they were in the audience. And I insulted no one.
If you would have given me 60 chances to guess where that story happened, and there was a gun in my head, I'd be dead.
I have a good story. That is a good story.
Yeah, start murder at land off strong.
Do you have a story?
Well, there's usually a story I tell about Dustin Tao. If you don't know who Dustin Tao is, it's the author of You've Reached Sam. And I went to a party at our fellow friend's house, Tashi Luyan, an author friend, and she wanted me to introduce me to him. This was like my debut, to like get him to blurb my book or whatever. I was like, okay, you do your Virgo nonsense, so just sit in the corner. And he was giving me what I thought at the time was like the coldest shoulder. Wouldn't even like look me directly in the eye. And I was like, okay, this is not gonna happen. And then I'm like talking to someone else, and Ryan LaSala gets brought up, who's another author, The Honeys. And all of a sudden, Dustin locks on me. He's like, oh, you know Ryan? And I'm like, well, yeah, I know Ryan. I think we all know Ryan. And he like sits down next to me and he's like, yeah, I love Ryan. And I'm like, okay, cool. So like an hour goes by, he turns to me again out of the blue and says, okay, so you know Ryan. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and that was kind of it again. And then he did it like an hour later, like, I'm so glad you know Ryan. And I'm like, this is and we end up going home to the train with him at like 2 a.m, and I'm opening up about how I don't really have any like male peers in the industry, which is like fine, but it can be, you know, getting lumped with women and stuff, and he's like, but you know Ryan. And I say, I know of Ryan. And he goes, oh. The train pulls up. He walks into the train on the opposite side, sits alone, away from me. We're the only two in the car. What did I do? And now I know that Dustin is he's the sweetest guy. I know the story makes it out to be like he's the worst. He's just like kind of, quiet and shy and awkward and lovely. And I think he was just like really tired because I confronted him about it. He was like, I have no memory of it. But he's like best friends with Ryan. So he thought I was best friends with Ryan for hours. And I wounded him. But I did not realize that he did not hate me for like a year.
You have too many mutual friends to be thinking that Dustin hates you for a year.
So please don't cancel Dustin for that story, but that was my horror story. Anyway, what was I gonna ask? Okay, so inspirations right now. What have been, like, specifically as a queer author, where do you gravitate towards? Do you find it in books that are on the shelves, or do you go elsewhere as a writer?
I feel like it's mostly TV film for me. I don't know. Right now, Yellow Jackets comes to mind. Even though the new season, it was like good, could be better, but.
Do you find that there's like influences, like you watch TV and you're like, oh, this is like a great device to put in a book or something?
I think so. I think that TV film, especially like in the genres of like horror thriller, they're really good with like plot and pacing and atmosphere, and they sort of teach you how to like slow a scene down almost like a camera and figure out how to pull out suspense. So I really like doing that, and then you kind of see how they have that sort of quick-witted, how you develop characters really fast, get in and out of scenes.
Because you started in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that is a helpful crossover for you as an author now?
I do. I think that that's why I can get being told, like, oh, you write cinematically. It's just because you watch enough movies and TV and you're like, okay, I can just pick up their techniques.
I also look at TV film. That's why I like to say that like a horror or thriller should feel like a tight 90. Like, because otherwise I'm like, it's too long. Especially because thrillers are supposed to be very, like, evenly well-paced. Because a thriller that drags is like, you failed at the basics of what a thriller is. And so I tend to look at, like, extreme horror. I love body horror. So for, like, The Blonde Dies First, for example, I was rewatching a lot of Cronenberg at the time. Titan is my favorite movie, which is, I don't know if anyone knows, but it's a French horror film about a woman who gets pregnant by a car.
Yes.
Yeah, it's super sick.
Titan?
Yeah, Titan.
Sure. You're right.
But, yeah, she gets pregnant by a car, and then I guess, is it a trans narrative, I suppose? Yeah.
Once again, if I had 60 chances.
They do, in fact, cut their hair and pretend to be some man's son while pregnant by car.
Okay.
I could not explain. Is there a plot? I don't know. I love it. It's so good. But I was rewatching that a lot. Well, that has nothing to do with The Blonde Dies First. No one gets pregnant. And then I watched Scream, of course. No longer, but I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I am such a baby. I get really scared with movies and jump scares and like.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just like cinematically. Sometimes it's like I don't know. So I actually really love books at the moment. I really like.
At the moment.
I really love Stephen Graham Jones. Is a horror author I really like, and then right now I'm really loving Immaculate Conception by Lin Huang. She wrote Natural Beauty, and I feel like those like encapsulate like a wide range of different types of like horror and like body horror in some ways. Yeah.
This is a quick question for you, but everyone, I personally sometimes feel like it's hard to keep up with the books that are coming out because we have to read so much for work, whether it's for blurbs or our own books, but you're still reading, which is amazing.
I am still reading, yeah, no, I feel like I only read the books, if a book goes onto my TBR, I won't read it. I need to be like, they need to sneak up on me. I don't know if you guys feel this now that like, I'm so compelled by like when I walk into a bookstore and I see a random book, it's like the most interesting thing to me because it's not like on my list of books to read, if that makes sense. And so that's kind of how I trick my brain into reading these things.
I feel like I still have a Goodreads challenge, so like I'm motivated by competing with myself to finish my challenge. And you know, definitely has to be, usually it is just like a random book where you're like, okay, I'm in the mood for this, and now I'll read it. But I do have a TBR, and it's like at the end of the year, it's like that joke of like, we, you know, can we go to McDonald's? No, we have food at home. And then I finally go back to those and try to get a few at the very end of the year.
What's your Goodreads? I'm sorry.
No.
What's your challenge?
I think it's 50.
Jesus.
Is it? I think it might be. I was doing so well for a while, and now.
Me too.
Do you beat yours? Do you make it?
Yeah. I also just like, I have like a recumbent bike for old people, so in the morning when I'm exercising, I'm reading. At the same
Oh,
time.
you're so real. No, if I'm exercising, I'm watching TV on the phone.
That's right.
Like, I've lost my Goodreads challenge for the last 5 years, and mine are not 50. Sometimes it's 15 books, and I'm failing every time. I'll read 12, like, but I'm like you. I can't. Things that are on my TBR, I have like a book card at home, and it's filled with books that I have that I need to read, and I haven't touched it. I like the idea of carrying around a book because that makes me feel like I'm going to read it. Will I? I don't know. So right now I have a Kindle. Did I open it on my way here? No. What about you? Are you reading? Do you read?
I
Do you
do
read
read.
not for work?
Usually no. But I did see a post today on Threads being like, awesome when authors say they don't read. I really love that. And I was like, hold on, we read.
Yeah, no, I'm not reading for pleasure. Like I'm reading
Yeah.
to blurb someone's book. Like that is work.
Right. So we do keep up with it. It's just kind of what we're assigned a lot of times, unless we're very more you guys. But yeah, I think it's, you know, I keep talking at events how I didn't know books outside of the classics by white men existed until I was in college. I know nowadays, maybe like you read like the Hunger Games where you write, we didn't have that. I didn't know what a YA book was until 18, so I specifically remember seeing Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda walking to class my freshman year and being like, we can do that. Like I said that out loud. And it's gotten so much better recently. But before that, I was just playing very story-driven video games, and I think people used to look down upon that, but now they have whole writers' rooms for video games. They're professional writers. And so that's where a lot of my training came from, and I know Adam Silvera talks about that all the time too. It's becoming more okay to say, which is nice, especially like for queer stuff. Video games were so gay growing up for us, especially like JRPGs and stuff, so.
Also, it's like the cinematic thing. It's like it's like a different medium, but I feel like it's a lot of that could be good to put in a book too.
So what are you guys working on next? And also, what would you dream to work on next as a queer writer if there was no such thing as a market? Twofold question.
Oh, you know mine.
I do.
Okay, so I am working on, so I'm technically working on, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, who cares, she's not here. I'm working on the sequel to my next book. I don't usually write sequels, but I did that, I am now, allegedly. But my dream book is about cars. like, oh my god, I love motorsports. My dream book is about cars, and it's like, unfortunately, I'm about to sound like every man who has an MFA. So if I comp it, I'm comping it to Infinite Jest. And it's about motorsports, and it's also body horror. So this is my dream book. I have told Christina this entire plot, like over drinks in like a cellar bar.
I'm like begging you to write this all the time. Like
Yes.
every time I see you, I'm like, can you please write this book?
It's like I think about it all the time. Unfortunately, my agents were like, "Girl," they're like, "Maybe in a little bit," but I think about it all the time. Like, oh my god.
You could just write it now and then keep it in the bunker.
No,
for when you can.
I'm supposed to be writing 2 other things right now. I'm like really not allowed to write it.
But doesn't that make it so much more like compelling? You're like,
No, exactly. It's like I open it up at 1:30 a.m. and I'm like, wow, look at you.
Right.
There's 7,000 words. Like, wow. I think about it all the time. It is sad.
Let's see. I think I talked to my publisher beforehand of what I'm allowed to say. So I have another YA thriller coming out next year. I think it's I'm not gonna say the month. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the month, so I'm not gonna do that. And it involves camping, and it's sapphic and has a little bit more of a love story than Murderland
Any
does.
comps? Give us a
Honestly,
vibe.
it's like I call it Misty Nat fan fiction of them solving a multiple homicide and like Blair Witch.
That's so
Oh,
interesting to me.
Blair
I love
Witch.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I was born to see your vision.
And then I have and honestly, the answer to the question of what I always wanted to write, it's kind of sappy to say that like I actually sold it this year of this adult book that's kind of Back to the Future meets Listen for the Lie. It's like serial killery, set in the 90s.
You're really big brain.
Yeah, you're really
It's all those movies.
I have a YA thriller coming out next year. I just found out that it's coming out in May of next year. 4/4/4. But I'm really excited. It's a basically like a queer John Tucker must die, like a savage John Tucker must die.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay, and what would you want to write if you could write it?
Yeah, I really want to write like a speculative women's fiction. Just that would be a dream.
Okay. And you'll do it because you do everything. Christina's written in like every genre: middle grade, young adult, adult.
Yeah.
Why aren't we locking in that picture book?
I know,
Yeah,
right?
the cookbook.
Memoir.
What are we doing?
Yeah, right. But yeah, what about you?
I love how you ask permission on when you can say things, because I'm just
this is like 4 of them right there.
at my launch with my whole team, I was like, yeah, we decided the title yesterday. I don't know if it's gonna stick around, but for now, it's blah blah. But I do have another YA. I don't know what my genre is. It's romance, but it's like it's like technically real life, but also not really. It's really teetering the line there. And that comes out not in May. They bumped it. They pushed it back to October. So we couldn't come up with an idea. It took like 5 months.
So
of
it's not
me-
like a Halloween rom-com.
No.
October's a really good month though.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like a very solid month for you
Okay.
know.
Well, that Sally book's gonna be on the list. That Halloween, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Yes. If you ever publish, never publish in October, because there's this Nightmare Before Christmas book. Every year it lists #1.
Every year.
It knocks everyone down.
Your
will say,
agent
she is
represents
my
Sally.
Oh, enemy!
You know what? It's a collective win for me, but I am like, yeah. She's
Wait, what about
every
that pumpkin
October,
queen
she's
every
going
year?
on the
Pumpkin
show.
queen.
And it starts getting on the list in like September,
Yes.
the first week of September, and it goes until November.
I dream of having like a project like that, just to be like Mariah Carey.
Wait,
it.
but you know that the Pumpkin Queen has a sequel now. That's
Oh,
supposed to
no.
come out.
When does it come out?
I think this year, so Pumpkin Queen has a sequel.
Okay.
I'm fingers crossed for a trilogy, so they're off that main list. Like, go to the series,
Yeah,
that's where
yeah.
you belong.
That's so funny. Okay, on that note. Whoever that author is, we love you. I don't even know who the author is. I just
Shay
know.
Orange. Yeah, she wrote The Wicked Deep, I think, and then like I think
Love that book.
it has
Yeah.
range. Yeah, no, it's actually very lovely. So
Yep.
I wish I could get a project like that.
No,
you know what my
literally.
dream project is? American Girl doll.
Yes.
I want to write an American. They only do 2 books per doll now.
Yeah.
But-
It used to be like 6 books.
Yes, would love to write an American Girl doll.
Yeah, that'd be a dream.
You do have to fight to the death for that. Like, I think
Really?
they got Brit Bennett for the last one. I was like,
I did see that. Yeah.
it's like, what, real, like, literary authors? What about the children? I write for kids.
Yeah.
I know what they want. Like, what is the bashing of?
Well, we've talked enough. If you, actually, I should warn you to think of questions first. I'll ask one more question, but start percolating. Is that the right word? I'm really bad at words, despite being an author. Okay. My last question is a fun one. What tropes are better when gays are involved instead of straights?
Okay, I
You're quick. You can ask the audience too.
I think friends to lovers only works for me when it's gay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, the tension just isn't there when it's straight. 'Cause you're like, well, why aren't you together? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing holding you back. But with the gays, sometimes it can be society. Sometimes it can be the dynamics are like set up a certain way. Sometimes it could be like some weird competitive friendship or like whatever. It could be anything. I love it. It's so much better. You can have those scenes where they're both in like a school bathroom together.
I will say so for my college YA, I wrote a only one bed scene, and I've been so uncompelled by only one bed tropes otherwise, but like that was pretty good. I was like, oh, it works so good. Yeah, it's so good.
Evoke the sleepover.
The sleepover, right, the implications of, yeah, exactly.
Miscommunication.
Miscommunication.
That's the only trope I think works with, like, I hate it with straights. I'm like, open your mouth. It's so annoying. What is there even a miscommunication? What's not clicking? At least if it's two gays, maybe you don't even know that they're gay. That's the miscommunication.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, otherwise I'm like, I don't understand. You're annoying. Or maybe it's me just having more patience for gay people. Like, I'm like, my people. I'm like, yeah. But straight people, I'm like, enough. Like, wrap it up.
I feel like it's always like, oh, someone texted the other person, but then they threw their phone into the ocean.
Yeah.
And that's why they never respond. You know, it's like the most outlandish.
Yeah, like, you really have to work to make this communication with straights, like, happen. I'm like, all right.
Agreed.
What about for you?
I agree with you, Carl. I agree with all of you, but I think even enemies to lovers I was never compelled by, but I think with a man and a woman it's always a little dicey there for me personally, but when I feel like all my books are enemies, and so, not like the I'm gonna kill you, because I write contemporary, that'd be a little yeah.
Love killing Eve.
I even push the line sometimes, even though with the power dynamics, my agent's like, okay, you can do that in adult, but not in YA, and I'm like, period.
Yeah, I think enemies to lovers sometimes with straights doesn't work, because I'm like, it's always like a dude who's like 6'4",
Yeah.
and then some woman who's like 4'11". I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no. But I'm like, you could literally like. And she's like, fine. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Right. Incredible. Okay. Did anyone think of any questions while we were yapping about nonsense? Yes.
You heard it last time. What is your favorite trope to write and to read?
I'm not very good at writing friends to lovers, but I love reading friends to lovers. I feel like that's like such an excellent trope.
I do like only one bed. I feel like that's weird to say in YA, but yeah, there is one in the YA too. I think there are two. Multiple times end up in the same bed.
I'm not good in thinking about tropes in terms of my own writing. I'm really bad at it. So you know, like when people make those really cool like Instagram posts, I like actually have to actively ask about 7 people, like almost like a panel. And I'm like, so what's in the book I wrote? Like,
I started making things up.
yeah, I know.
Like, oh yeah.
I'm really bad at it. But I guess I know this is controversial. I like second chance romance.
Yeah.
I think it's so fun. They've got to be an adult though. I'm sorry. I can't read about a child who's dating at 14 and then dates again at 18. I don't care. Like, you haven't changed that much.
Thank you so much.
There's clearly been a change here.
Yeah. I also don't like
He
second
didn't even
chance.
go to the same school.
I answered it before, so I'll make mine quick.
Okay.
They were at my or my event last week, but I do not read what I write either. I don't know why that. I like read fantasy usually.
Oh, really?
And I would never.
I would not really.
It's always gay. It's like
Oh,
Timekeeper
yeah.
and whoa, yeah. Or it's like the really like trauma heavy gay books that I also would never write. Maybe that's why I am. Well, I think I'm thinking about when I was like 20 talking about this right now, so it's not my best. But thinking about like I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver and like all those like all those really early books where that was all we were allowed to write. But I do love them. They're just as equally important. We just want a variety.
I also don't read what I write. I like read sad women's literary. Like, yeah, that's it. Otherwise, I am trying to read Maddie Martinez's book that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
It's really good. Everyone should read it. I made it in her monster. It's so gay. It's so fun. A woman is falling in love with a golem. It's sick. I love it.
First queer book you ever read?
Ooh.
Oh, it was for school for some reason. I went to a weird school. It was called Snowflower and the Secret Fan, and it was like a literary book, and all the students would make their teachers read the sex scene out loud. That was like the thing to try to get your teacher to do, and like you might have a teacher that would refuse to, but then one of them like would do it for like teaching the children, and not letting them win by laughing at the scene. So that was, I think that was the first one.
Interesting.
Mine was Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. Yeah, that was mine.
Was that also yours?
Yeah.
Oh, mine was Wicked, The Life and Times of I was 8.
Why were you reading Wicked at 8 years old?
Because did you not hear my bio? I wandered the halls of the Brooklyn Public Library. My parents didn't like check what I was reading. They didn't care. So I like pulled it off the shelf and I was like, I like Wizard of Oz. I like that Wicked soundtrack. And I read it and I was like, oh, okay. I had to ask my parents about everything in it and they were just like. And my parents were the kind of parents that felt they were like, we have to like answer all of her questions. And I certainly got my answer. Like, so yeah, that was something. But I did learn that girls could have crushes on each other from that. So yeah.
If you could, for your latest books, give your main character one piece of advice, what would it be?
For Murderland, like go home.
Go home as well. Like haunted house. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be such a fucking loser. Like, don't be such a tryhard. Like, love her down though. But down.
We love our characters. Do you feel? I always feel a little insecure because I feel like I see some authors online post like artwork they've commissioned about their characters and that they love them so much. And we were talking before we got up here about how we couldn't even remember, well, you especially, but I was talking about this last week at my own event, how we can't remember our old books and our characters' names. Are you two people who really love your characters?
I feel okay about them. I'm really attached to them. I definitely have a favorite child out of my books.
Yeah.
So I'm really attached to that one character, but otherwise I'm like, you guys live your own lives, you know?
Are they usually one of the main characters or like a random side character?
My favorite character I've written of all time is my main character in my second book. So yeah, I'm attached to her, but to no one else. Sorry.
You get iconic Ruby?
The iconic Ruby Lawson.
Like,
Exactly.
It happens like once every 5 books.
Where you like them?
Yeah. And then I love them a lot. So you either get to be like loved deeply or I don't care about you.
Yeah, there is a character I actually love, but that book died.
Oh, that's tragic.
But it's okay. It was kind of, he is very similar to me, so that's probably why. You open up on the page instead of a therapist, and you're like, oh, you get me.
I think I have object permanence like a baby. So like it's like what's in front of me. My favorite is from that book, and then when that book is done, I'm like, who are you? So like right now, my favorite is from my next book, Girls Who Played a Kyla, and she's like awful, like as a person, like her personality just kind of sucks, but it's the grief. So I love her so much, but I'm sure I'll forget about her soon. Like, but it's fine. She lives on. Like,
I think we're told so many times by people to not get attached to the book you're working on because it could fail at any point. Even if you do sell it, it could not sell well, and then you're never gonna have to do an event or talk about it. Blah blah blah. And usually it does work out, but we're always warned.
Well, I'm just like terrified of like reading or perceiving my work after it publishes. You know?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, it doesn't belong to me anymore. Like, it's not mine.
And you're gonna find a bunch of mistakes or things you would have done differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of reading my first book over again, like maybe last year. I was like there were so many just like sentences. I was like, I don't like how they're structured. Like minute details where I was like, why did I choose that word? I feel like I'm so nitpicky. So even in past pages when I know you're not supposed to change too much, I'm like really annoying. And I'm like, I want to rewrite this page. And they're like, no. No, they get so mad. Like, there was like, no, stop it. And I'm like, I don't like it anymore.
Past pages is when it's like formatted.
Yeah, that's in the book. Like, that's it. Like, I'm not supposed to do anything except maybe cut a word. And I'm like, can we restructure that dialogue? And I'm like, no. Like, yeah, they are always like, enough.
Ask for forgiveness. That's what I do. I just do whatever in there. And then...
Okay, maybe one more question. Yeah.
For those of you who write thrillers or also contemporaries, if you were in the universe that your story takes place, would you survive?
That's a really good question. Yes, because I'd go home.
Yeah, I don't mess with Ouija boards. Like, that's a big no-no for me. Like, I love watching horror and I'm not really scared of anything, but like, the demon thing, that's not for me. So, I don't mess with Ouija boards, so yeah, I would live.
I don't know if I'd survive mine. Because they're trying to like inherit this really wealthy house, and homeownership is just so major. You know?
Well, hey,
Risk I'm willing to take.
worth dying for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, in any scenario, I'd probably die.
You're wandering campus and you fall in a hole. Where does the hole come from? I don't know.
Alright, well, I think I'll pass it over to Nicole, if Nicole is...
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys. That was awesome. And thank you. For coming out tonight. Thank you to everyone who asked questions. And thank you to Carlyn, Christina, Paige, and Joelle for celebrating Pride with us today. It's awesome. A few final reminders. If you're still on the live stream with us, you can purchase a copy of all the books by clicking the link in the live stream description. For everyone in person, we have additional copies of the time that you can buy right where you checked in. And again, everybody will be signing and personalizing all their books right here on up here at the chairs. So we do ask that you take all of your stuff with you when you get up because we're going to be folding up the chairs really fast and then moving the tables back. So